Okay, here's a story. Here's a good
All
story.
right.
If you've read Resisting Madness, my short story collection, like you talked about at the beginning, I talk about in the story notes for a story called By the Throat, about how that was supposed to be my first published short story, and it technically was. I had sold a couple of other. I sold a short story about like in 2009 or 2010 to an anthology that ended up shitting the bed and dying. Like the whole press just died. So I ended up selling, By the Throat to a publisher, and I was going to have copies that I was going to take with me to Horror Find in Gettysburg, PA, in 2010. So I was going to have all these copies I was going to sell, my first short story in this anthology, and I got it in the mail. I got my copies in the mail just to find out that the editor had rewritten my story from the first word of the story to the last word. He
Holy
rewrote
smokes.
everything. I lost my shit. I was not. Oh man, I freaked out. So I ended up emailing him saying, what gives you the right to do this? Like, and I went off. And he basically countered with, well, what gives you the right to email me back and say all these things? Like, I'm the editor. I have the right to do all this. And, I know people who can prove you wrong and prove me that I'm right because I'm the editor. And I countered back. I said, not according to your contract, because I'm not an idiot. The contract says you can only make minor edits and not without my consent. So yeah, it was back and forth, and then I finally had him just take the story completely out of the anthology. It was awful. It was really really awful. Called We Bear All, and I really really like that story a lot because the editor worked with me a lot to get that story to where it's actually at right now. Because when I originally sent it to him, he liked it, but it just wasn't working, and I got kind of frustrated with that because I was like, well, I don't know what to do with this then. Like, I don't know what you want from me. So we kind of went back and forth, and he really helped me flesh this out and made it a much much better story.
At the beginning of the show, you talked about one of your first editing experiences being terrible, and
Oh,
then
that
here,
was a predator.
yeah, and then towards the end, you talked about one that was very positive, that you worked pretty deeply with to completely change a story. Um, what's your like? What does it take for you to have an editor that's willing to that you can work with to make big changes to something like that?
Um, I haven't had a whole lot of like that experience with that short story was very unique because usually, I mean, with a lot of short stories, depending on the market, I guess you send it in, and either they like it or they don't, and you just make like minor changes. Well, that one in particular was very different than what I've been used to because I mean, he liked the story, but he wanted more out of it, and he didn't think it was working or there was something missing from it because I guess it was just too linear, it was too straightforward, and he wanted to know a little bit more about other things happening in it, and I got frustrated because I was like, well, I don't know if that's the story or not. But then I gave it a shot. And I was like, oh, okay, that is this story. I like what I'm doing now. So yeah, that was kind of a very unique thing. But a lot of the editing I've been used to is either like early on with these no name, very micro boutique presses
Right.
that are just putting out anthologies over and over. A lot of them aren't even really editing. They'll just take the
Yeah.
story and just throw it in the file and just be done with it. I mean, I sold a short story, God, back in like 2011, 2013 or something like that. So like a brand new. It wasn't even easy. It was like they were just selling like an ebook version of their magazine, and it was the first issue, and I ordered the issue. I couldn't even get a free damn issue of it, but I bought one, and I saw that they didn't take out the underlines in my story because at the time I was always told that if you're doing something that needs italicizing, that you just need to underline that word, and the editor should go back and italicize it themselves. Well, they didn't do that. They didn't even take out the damn underlines. They left the underlines in the damn file or in the final product, and I was like, this is some like just this is crap. This is absolute crap. And I was so mad about that. And I remember at the time I was just so damn mad at it. But I think a lot. You just hope that like the publishers that you do work with in the presses do have good editing. I know Death's Head has a very good couple of regular editors that they use that go through everything with a fine tooth comb, which is really great because it seems like no matter how many pre-readers you have, you could have 6 or 7 pre-readers if you want that many, and then it seems like the seventh person is still going to find something that everybody else, missed.
Right.
And that was the funny thing with Cruel Summer. I had like 5 pre-readers, and I thought they found everything. I thought it was as clean as possible. And then, funny enough, Bob Ford, who wrote the intro for it for the hardcover, he read it and he came to me with like a whole bunch more edits, and I was like, holy shit. And then someone else found more stuff, and I was like, oh my god, like you can have 10 people read something, and number 11 is still going to find something that the other 10 people missed. It's so frustrating. But yeah, that's one thing. If you're a new author or a newer author, get pre-readers. Pre-readers are very, very important. I know that may not be for everybody. So I know people that don't like pre-readers. I know people that just they don't like that those extra eyes on stuff, and that's whatever. But I've always said you need pre-readers. You need other people catching your mistakes and calling you out on it, and asking questions. Wait, this doesn't make sense. Can you elaborate more on this? And I had that. I had that with Cruel Summer. I had 5 different people read it, and I had 5 different people asking questions and finding shit that I missed. And yeah, it's editing is incredibly important.